Hey everyone, so in today's video I want to talk about the Thrustmaster T150 Pro force feedback wheel. Now, I know what you're thinking, you did a video on this already. And you're right, I actually did, but that video I did when I first got the wheel. I was very inexperienced with it, and I didn't know a lot about it. So I feel like now that I've had the wheel for almost a year now, and been using it a lot and playing a lot of different kinds of games with it, I feel like I'm in a better situation to really give an opinion about it now compared to then. So a couple things I want to touch on in this video. Pros and cons of not say this specific wheel, but just in, I think, wheels in general. I will have one con about this specific wheel. Of course, I can't say anything bad about any other wheels because I haven't tried them. So we're going to be doing pros and cons. We're going to be talking about things like, you know, does the wheel make you faster? Does it make you a better racer? Is the wheel worth it? How does the wheel hold up? How has my wheel held up? You know, kind of things like that. So the first thing I'm going to get into is the pros and cons. And first of all, we're going to discuss the cons. And there's really only three. So the first one is price. And again, this con is not specific to the wheel that I'm using. It's just generally. Force feedback wheels, I mean, I guess I'm saying like they're not cheap. And I really hate saying things like that because, you know, I feel when people talk about what's affordable, affordable is subjective, right? Like, what's affordable to you may not be affordable to me. What's affordable to me may not be affordable to the next guy. So really, you know, when you're talking about prices of things, you know, I always like to be careful with that and not use words like, oh, it's cheap, or oh, it's really affordable, because, you know, everybody has a different situation, and I try to be sensitive to that. I know personally myself, I spent $200 on my wheel, and honestly, guys, like, that's a lot of money for me. I'm not rich, you know what I mean? Like, I can't go out and spend $900 on a wheel, or, you know, $1,500 on a wheel. I just can't do it. I happen to have some money from tax money, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. And you know, we didn't have anything that needed to be fixed at the moment, so I could spend it on that. And so I got it. Now, another thing I will say about the price, and it's very strange, is that the prices of these things, man, they really vary. They vary from year to year. They vary from month to month. Like, I got mine for $200. I've seen it for $400. You know, when I got mine off Amazon, and they had the Thrustmaster T150 Pro and the Logitech G29, and they were both around the $200 mark. I was just in Best Buy today, and they had a G29 for $400. So I don't understand the price fluctuation of the force feedback wheels. And I would say if you are on a budget, you know, look around. It may take a little longer to get one, but you'll probably end up being able to find one in your price range, just maybe not right now. So with that being said, the next con has to do with mounting the wheel, because this is a big deal, guys. You need to have something sturdy to mount it on. And I'm coming from a console perspective, okay? So if you're a PC guy and you're watching this really doesn't apply to you, because most likely you're set up at a desk, and you can mount these to the desk fine. That's nice and sturdy. You won't have an issue. I don't know many console guys that are playing their PS4 at a desk. You know, mostly it's in a bedroom or a living room, or, you know, a man cave, whatever you want to call them, like that. So you really have to have something sturdy to mount these to. You know, obviously, if you have like a nice wooden coffee table that's high enough, you could definitely do that. You know, but they do make wheel stands. I have a wheel stand. It's all metal. It's heavy. It's like 50, 60 pounds, the wheel stand alone. And then, you know, if you want to spend more money on it, you could get the more elaborate rig where, you know, you actually have a racing seat. You know, you get in like the cockpit. It's just like being in a car. And it just goes up from there, literally. There's motion seats, and there's a whole plethora of other things that you can get into. But yeah, you need something sturdy because you don't want to tip it over. I would say a wheel stand is really good if you plan on, using it and then putting it away. Most wheel stands, they fold up. They're pretty easy to maneuver. And mine cost me about $75. And again, guys, with the wheel stands, prices vary. Like, I've seen wheel stands just like mine go for $175. You just gotta look around and find one that suits your wallet. Now, the third con that we're going to talk about is very specific to my wheel, to the T150 Pro. So my wheel is gear driven, and the problem with that is that when you turn the wheel, you feel the teeth on the gears, so it's not the smoothest. I mean, it's not like driving your car, okay? You feel the teeth, and there is some sound, and I'm sure you guys have heard in my videos, any of my SnowRunner videos, my racing videos, anything like that, you'll actually hear the wheel. It kind of sounds like, like corduroy pants rubbing against each other. I think that's like the closest thing I can think of. But like I say, that's specific to that wheel. Not all wheels are gear driven. Again, the better wheels, they have belt drives, they have direct drives. There's different stages of this. Mine obviously is one of the cheapest wheels you can get, so it is gear driven. That's something that it's really not the wheel's fault. It just is what it is. It's just something that I find a little annoying. That's why I would love to get a belt-driven wheel at some point. But literally, those are the only negative things I can really find about the wheel. And now if we're going to talk about pros, literally there's only one pro that I really feel is worth even mentioning, and it's just the fact that it's fun. It brings out a whole different depth to these games, having the wheel with the force feedback. And I can't stress enough, guys, the force feedback is the key. You don't want a wheel that doesn't have force feedback. That's the ticket. And really, anything that can make your time playing your favorite game more enjoyable, why not? That's a pretty cool thing. But now I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, okay, but what about performance? Like, you see me racing around here, and you see that I'm not doing that well. And I will admit, guys, on this is F1 2020, I have never driven in these conditions before on this game. I know, I don't play this game a lot. I really want to. It's just a time thing. And I chose like a quick race, and this is what they gave me, and I've never driven in rain, and I was horrible. So don't take this as like indicative of the wheel. This is just me being inexperienced driving in these conditions. With that being said, it's a very difficult thing to say if the wheel alone makes you better at these games. Because I feel with racing games especially with the sim racing games, man, it's a lot of practice. You need a lot of practice regardless of what you're playing on. I know guys out there that play F1 2020 on a controller and do damn well. They have good lap times. They're winning races. They're doing a good job. And on the flip side of that, there's guys out there that are using, the wheels that are doing a good job, that are winning races. I think what it boils down to is how much practice you put into these games and really how serious you are about it. I will say that I feel that with the wheel, there is a bit of a learning curve. Okay? It's not something that the day you get it, you plug it in, you hook it up, you put on your favorite racing game, and oh my god, you went from SpongeBob to Mario Andretti, right? This is not going to happen. Maybe there's a few people out there that it will. Maybe there's a few people that they'll get their hands on this steering wheel and it just comes naturally to them. Unfortunately, I was not one of those people. It took me time. I needed time with it. I needed to practice with the wheel, but I'm getting a lot better with it. Again, not by looking at that footage that we were just seeing. But, yeah, I think it's like anything else with these racing games. It just takes practice. What I will say, though, is this. If having the wheel makes you play the game more and want to play the game more and have more fun playing the game, then you're going to get better because you want to play, you want to get better. That's what I really feel about it. I do feel that on some games, the wheel was definitely beneficial. Assetto Corsa Competizione, I did a video about it. The game is playable on a controller. I prefer to play this game on a wheel. I prefer to play all of my racing games on the wheel, okay? I feel F1 2020 is very doable on the controller. I've played that game on the controller before I had the wheel, and it wasn't that bad. It was doable. ACC, however, I feel is a little less doable with controller. Obviously, you can, but I think it takes a little more practice. The wheel is just nice on these games. The wheel feels so right on F1 2020. It feels so right on Assetto Corsa Competizione. But I will say this. Each game has its own feel, so don't necessarily think it's your wheel it's the problem. It's most likely the game, because Assetto Corsa, for example, the wheel on this game changes with each update. They keep tweaking it, and I don't know why, but like previously to the update that just came out that gave us Imola in the 2020 season, my force feedback felt great. Now this time it feels like they actually dialed it back for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. But again, guys, that has to do with the game, not the wheel. So if you have a wheel and you're thinking that, it's not your wheel, it's the game. Now we're taking a look at SnowRunner, and honestly, the steering wheel makes this game so much more fun. Like, I love this game on controller, don't get me wrong. Plug the wheel in, and it's just, it takes this game to a completely new level. It's so much more enjoyable with the wheel. The force feedback is just fantastic. You do have to tweak it. I'm not gonna not tell you guys that. When you get the game, when you first plug in your wheel, the base settings for the wheel is horrible in the game. You do have to tweak it. You have to up the gain and stuff like that. But man, once you get it in the sweet spot, it is so fun to play this game on wheel. I mean, when you go off into the mud or the snow and the steering wheel's pulling and you feel it, it's truly magical, and it makes such a difference on this game. Now, a game like Farming Simulator, on the other hand, it's completely horrible. And, on console, Farming Simulator does not support force feedback. So that's something that you have to kind of keep in mind. So I would personally say, and this is just my opinion, guys, if you just want to know my opinion on it, if you want to buy a wheel just to play Farming Simulator, I probably wouldn't spend the money to get a force feedback wheel to play Farming Simulator. I feel it's not fun to play the game with it, because you have to mess with the camera angles way too much to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So with that being said, I feel like the biggest thing is that, are they worth it? Is it worth it to spend the money on a force feedback wheel? And you know what, guys? It's like any hobby, right? Any hobby can be expensive. And it's just how much you're into the hobby and how much you want to get out of it. So I do feel they're worth it. I would say if you have the money to spend on it, if you can afford to get one, I would totally recommend getting one. Okay, it's gonna make your experiences in racing games and in driving games, it's gonna take you to a whole different level, guys. Seriously, it really is. It's a lot of fun. I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about it, but like I say again, it all boils down to like what you can afford. If you can afford it, go for it. I say get it. But I also think on the other hand, I see a lot in forums and like on Facebook and stuff, kind of people saying, oh, you can't play the game if you don't have a wheel. You know what? Don't listen to that. All right? Like, obviously, you can play any of these games. None of these games require a wheel. All of these games will work without a wheel. Don't let it discourage you to playing the game. Okay? If you love playing racing games and you can't afford that expensive steering wheel, then by all means, play the game. Enjoy the game. Don't listen to these people that are saying you have to have one. Like, oh, you're not a real racer if you're not. Well, you know what? Look, I don't want to hear any of that, okay? Like I say, if you can afford it, they're awesome. I would totally recommend buying it. Really, the last thing I want to say is about how well the wheel holds up. I've heard a lot of people talk about, they have a lot of problems with Thrustmasters breaking and stuff like that. You got to remember, guys, everybody treats their stuff differently. Some people are hard on things, some people aren't. I'm not saying anything bad. Personally, mine is in perfect condition. The rubber's fine, everything's fine, the buttons haven't worn, the pedals are all, they still all feel great, everything works completely fine. So guys, with that being said, that's kind of my wrap up, and that's what I feel about the Thrustmaster. I still love it. I would love to upgrade someday. Maybe when I get the money, I will upgrade. But until then, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Join my Discord. The link is in the description. You can ask me anything you want about it there. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.